Let's take you back out to the stadium where the great Charles Davis joins the conversation. CD, another exciting one here. And, you know, these are two teams that we often see go up and down, but this is 4 in a row in the win column for the Seattle team, 3 in a row in the loss column for Arizona. Let's go Seattle first. What has bred this sort of consistency week over week?
Well, before we even get to that, Joe, I've got to congratulate you. Why Walker when you can run? I mean, that's outstanding. You know, you just made fetch happen, okay? So that is outstanding what you just did there. But the bottom line is the run game was key to this one because coming into it, Seattle's averaging like 84 yards a game on the ground. That's not Seattle football. I don't care if Pete Carroll's the head coach or if Mike McDonald's the head coach. They've had offensive line issues all year long. Abraham Lucas just got back to the lineup. I think it was his 3rd or 4th game back. They've had 3 different starting right guards this year. The center retired at midseason, so the backup, Olu Oluwatimi, had to play. They've not been settled. But today, they got back to it. And yes, Ken Walker's not able to go. But Zach Charbonnet, he was ready to go. He wanted the football, his 3rd start of the year. He gets over 100 yards. He had 91 against Miami, so it wasn't like he wasn't capable. This is a guy with back-to-back 1,100 and 1,300-yard years at UCLA his last 2 years. We know he can carry the rock. But then add in Kenny McIntosh, who I thought was much more of a 3rd down back coming out of Georgia. No, he can run the football as well, and they handled it in a big way. That offensive line, they came to play today, handled the line of scrimmage, and got Seattle off to a very good start and made things extremely comfortable for Geno Smith in throwing it.
Yeah, it's that time of year when depth is going to show up and running game is going to be your constant. Those two things, the through line to these victories here for Seattle. On the other hand, CD, Arizona, we were so ready to say this is the year. Kyler taking the step forward, and then a short losing streak here, a massive moment in the division. What's limited them across these struggles lately?
I think that lately what's gone on is they let one get let's just go back to Minnesota last week. That was their football game. By every metric, if you take away the final score and who won it, if you look at the numbers, you think Arizona won the game. But they've been terrific, limited penalties all year. They came into this week the least amount of penalties for the season in the NFL. But they had 10 last week in Minnesota and killed themselves in the red zone. Multiple jumps off sides, things of that nature. They ended up kicking 5 field goals. And in this league, unless you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, if you kick a lot of field goals, you lose games. And that's what happened to them in Minnesota. You go up 2 weeks ago against against Seattle in Seattle. They couldn't do what they normally do. Their bread and butter is running the football with James Conner. They had 49 yards total. He was 7 runs, 8 yards. They don't beat anyone that way. They can't live in 3rd and long. The offense isn't designed for it. And then today to finish it off, Kyler Murray, 2 early interceptions, got him on bad footing, and they never really truly recovered.
Oh, I got B-Mac off camera here. I think he's vying for a Chris Boswell MVP. He's been making the case over these last few weeks. You make a great point there. Only one team can win that way. But
hey, Joe, the last time we had that, that was Mark Mosley.
Yeah.
In a strike year with Washington under their old nickname. He was the league MVP, and he was a straight-on, square-toe kicker. Maybe it's time for a soccer-style guy to get his.
Total points will always be the feather in the cap of the kicker in this league. But back to here and now, especially in the NFC, maybe broader strokes, because it seems like the general discourse right now, CD, is Detroit, Philadelphia, long pause, everybody else. But you see teams like Seattle doing what they did today. How big is that gap in your eyes between those top 2 and, let's say, those with inside tracks to division titles?
I think B-Mac would tell you it's never as big as what people think. When you get to playoff time, who's hot at that time? Who's healthy at that time? Is the matchup right for you or not? You go to boxing. What do we say about boxing? Styles make the fight. And some guys' styles, you may be way more talented than him, but his style will really mess you up. All right? Muhammad Ali was way more talented than Ken Norton. And Ken Norton's style really messed with Muhammad Ali. He had to go 3 times to beat him. The first time he lost to him. Second time was a disputed decision. Third time disputed decision. Sometimes the styles can make things difficult for you. And come playoff time, who do you get? What's the draw? What's going on? It's never as big a gap as people think. And by the way, all those teams that finish 500 and win a division, the vast majority of them win their first-round playoff game. They always gum up someone's season. So I never look at the gap as being as big as what people think.
So we said Walker is good, run is better, but we know you got to fly. So Charles Davis, with that, we say thank you as always, my friend.
Joe Musso, you are a wordsmith. You are a scholar. You are my friend. Take care.
Appreciate you, pal. I'm clipping that one. That one's for me. That's my ringtone moving forward. Longest win streaks against any opponent. Now 7 in a row, these Seahawks over the Cardinals. It is not just filtered through that reality, but also Geno Smith, now career 6-0 all-time as a starter against Arizona. Back in studio alongside the guys, Emory Hunt, I'm handing you the football. That's
Don't
just so
fumble it.
That's just so you quit texting, all right? That's
Yeah,
just,
right. You caught me.
I need your
Over
focus.
here, folks.
I need your focus here on the desk, and I need our focus in the West, because this was a division that just a couple weeks ago, you know what to do with that?
Yes. Nah.
Careful with that. That goes to the end zone with that. Just a couple weeks ago, guys, we were talking about this being anybody's game. Seattle has really taken that game and claimed it as their own. What impressed you most about their performance here on Sunday, Mac?
The fast start for the Seattle Seahawks. When you look at where they were a few weeks ago, dealing with the injuries, uninspired play, inconsistent play, and then they finally found their rhythm. Their rhythm actually started a few weeks ago against the Arizona Cardinals. When they beat Arizona 16-6, they kind of jump-started their efforts to be able to be in the current position they're sitting in. So I love the fast start. Mike McDonald has done a phenomenal job getting his guys to buy in to to believe in what he is preaching to them, for them to be able to go out and execute it. And outside of that, the defense. Number one, the defense is healthy. This is a better defense when they have Leonard Williams in uniform. Remember, he missed some time, and they didn't have the same consistency and dominating performance. With him in the lineup, the entire secondary is better, the second-level guys are better, and Zach Charbonnet, you talked about not having Kenneth Walker in the lineup, not knowing exactly what you were going to get from the ground and pound attack. I haven't seen them run the football as well as they've done today, as they did today, when you look at Zach Charbonnet stepping into the lineup. So big win for Seattle, and this division is theirs to lose. If they don't win this division, it's because of them.
We talked about this at halftime, where normally we see teams bungle these type of opportunities, but I thought Seattle did a great job of making the plays that were there to be made. You had an opportunity to turn the ball over, you turned the ball over. You had a chance to put the ball into the end zone, you put the ball into the end zone. Anytime Arizona made a mistake to give you an opportunity to make a play, they made the play. A play don't care who makes it, it just wants to be made. And Seattle did a great job today on both sides of the ball. And these are the type of games that are always tough, because you want to beat this conference opponent, the divisional opponent so bad, but you tend to make those same mistakes that the other team is making. We didn't see that from Seattle today.
Well, when we look at this team, obviously the inside track in the West, but they will essentially become an NFC North team these next 3 weeks. They're looking at the Packers, the Vikings, and then the Bears before finishing out the season with the divisional matchup with the Rams. That being said, Emory, how do you hack up the food now moving forward, knowing Charbonnet's got this sort of go in him? But when Walker comes back, if you have a full-fledged two-headed monster, what is the proper tone to be set between those two backs?
It used to be 2-1-2. So you get 2 series, and the next guy comes in, gets a series, and then you bring the starter back in and get 2 series. When you have in a back that's playing as well as Charbonnet is playing, you have the luxury of not rushing Kenneth Walker back into the fold and allowing him to work himself back into where he needs to be. So it's a great problem to have. 1, to have 2 good backs, and 2, to have a situation where you don't have to rush the starter back into the mix where now he's banged up more so going into the postseason.
And the thing I love about Seattle offensively, they were patient with the running game. You talked about Zach Charbonnet. He had 22 carries. When you get those type of opportunities, either if you're Zach Charbonnet or Kenneth Walker, you're going to cash in big time. When you look at weeks past, when you look at the flux in offensive production, they weren't patient and true to the running game. You have to be patient. So when Kenneth Walker is back in the lineup, I would love to see Seattle adopt the offensive format that we see with the Detroit Lions, getting both guys involved, or either having them on the football field at the same time, because both guys are very, very physical. They can catch the football out of the backfield good enough to be productive, and not to mention they lean on defenders, especially in the fourth quarter.
Can you please do me a favor?
Yes, sir.
5 points of pressure. Tuck that thing up. I know you're trying to look cool on it, but
I don't want to mess up. I got a nice crease in my jacket.
it's the important things here on CBS Sports HQ. Sartorial needs indeed. We got more coming here on Game Day Scoreboard as we take a look at Buck 25, 50, and 2. Man, find yourself on the graphic with Sean Alexander. You might find yourself on the cover of a Madden. 2024 in this game, a buck 34, 59, and 2 touchdowns. Charbonnet leading the way in a massive victory out west.